So just recently here on TechSpert, I featured the Huawei P40 Pro, a very clever bit of tech, absolutely brimming with smart hardware and features. But unfortunately for us folks whose stacks aren't particularly fat, the Huawei P40 Pro is also a very expensive bit of kit well out of our reach. But despair ye not, because Huawei's sister company Honor has come to the rescue. Say hello to the fresh new Honor P30 Pro Plus. Now this bad boy has launched over in China already and it'll be coming to the UK soon. I don't have the final UK asking price unfortunately, but you can bet your bottom that it'll be a hell of a lot cheaper than that Huawei P40 Pro. And yet despite this, the specs, the camera tech and a lot of the other features are very, very similar indeed. So if my well-bitten fingernails can ever actually conquer this bit of shrink wrap, let's get the Honor P30 Pro Plus fully unboxed and take a full-on tour of that hardware and software. And no, sod it, I'm gonna have to resort to the pokey pin device, give it a good old stabbing. And for more on the latest greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers. Alright, so let's see what you actually get in the box itself. So there's the smartphone. Ooh, gets a lovely bit of Honor 200 somethings. I don't know what any of that means. If anyone can read Chinese, then definitely please clue me in the comments. Of course, you get your bit of pokey pin device in order to get your SIM card into the Honor P30 Pro Plus. And you get a lovely bit of condom case action, always great to see. Slap that on the bad boy, it'll just give it a bit of extra protection, help keep it scratch free. And of course, as if the abundance of Chinese writing didn't already give it away, this is an Asian review sample, so of course I've got an Asian power adapter. And a bit of Type-C USB cable action. Love it. And the last thing in the box is a 3.5mm headphone port to Type-C USB dongle thing, because sadly there's no headphone jack here on the Honor P30 Pro Plus. So that is the box. Now onto the phone. Yay. We've just unwrapped the Honor P30 Pro Plus, and at a quick glance it does look very, very similar to that Huawei P40 Pro. However, there are a few subtle little differences here and there. First of all, you do once again get an edge-to-edge display, though it doesn't quite curve around the top and bottom edges here on the Honor P30 Pro Plus like it did on that Huawei P40 Pro. And secondly, around the back here you'll notice that the Honor P30 Pro Plus doesn't sport as chunky a camera chassis as the Huawei P40 Pro. And that's because the camera hardware has actually changed up a bit here on the Honor P30 Pro Plus, despite retaining some of the smarter hardware from that Huawei flagship. Apart from that, the design is very similar. You once again get a slab of glass here on the back as well as the front, all separated by a nice bit of aluminium band action, very shiny, and of course unfortunately very prone to fingerprints and grease. Thankfully that Huawei P40 Pro has resisted any kinds of scratch and scuffs so far in the few weeks I've been using it. It's definitely one tough customer, so hopefully it'll be the same story here on the Honor P30 Pro Plus. And while the Huawei P40 Pro is IP68 for the water and dust resistant, you get an IP54 rating here on the Honor smartphone, so it's splash resistant. Definitely don't go taking it in the bath, the swimming pool while you're doing laps, anything like that. The rest of the design pretty similar. You get a SIM tray down below as well as a bottom firing speaker and a bit of Type-C USB. You notice up top there's a bit of IR blast traction as well, but sadly sans headphone jack, none of that. And from a lot of coverage that I've seen coming out of Asia on the Honor 30 series smartphones, they all seem to be branded with a massive Honor logo down the side there, but that doesn't seem to be the case on this one. Very interesting. I wonder if they've changed their tune a bit on that, because it has been rather divisive, shall we say. Anyway, let's get this mofo all powered up and set up, and then we'll take a full-on tour of the rest of the hardware and the specs. So the Honor P30 Pro Plus is mostly set up now, and I'm just using a good bit of Huawei's phone clone tool in order to copy my old apps and other bits off my old Huawei P40 Pro. So just got to scan the old QR code, and then they'll quickly hook up and all my stuff will be transmitted across nice and easy. And because of course you haven't got the Play Store or Google services or anything here on the Honor P30 Pro Plus, this is a great way of getting the likes of Chrome and Gboard and various other Google bits over onto the Honor. So we're all set up and it's time to stick in a SIM card. As you can see there, it's a dual SIM tray. You can fit a SIM either side, otherwise that second tray can be used to fit in one of Huawei's proprietary NM cards to expand the 256 gigs of onboard storage by a further 256 gigs. So we're all set up and ready to rock, and the software situation here is very similar to the Huawei P40 Pro. Basically what you've got on here is Android 10, the latest version of Android, but unfortunately no Google services, so you don't see any Play Store action on there. What you've got instead is Huawei's app gallery. In order to download fresh apps, you can of course use third-party efforts like the Amazon App Store as well. The launcher on here isn't a motion UI as on most Huawei devices. What you get instead is Honor's Magic UI, though to be fair it's very similar. Thankfully you do get a full apps tray and all the usual settings that we know and love, including of course a good bit of dark mode action. Good old gesture temperature, navigation, all of that good stuff. And to actually unlock the device as well, it's the usual in-display fingerprint sensor. It's quite low down, as you can see right there, just like the P40, the P40 Pro, but nice and responsive and accurate. As you can see there, just a quick tap, you're straight into your desktops. And you've also got full face unlock support with support for raise to wake. So if we just try that now, do a bit of raise to wake, it scans for my face, immediately recognizes me, and boom, done. And as you can see there, thanks to the good old phone clone tool, we've got plenty of Google action on there, including good old Google Maps. You got Google Chrome as well, which works absolutely fine. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for all Google apps, the likes of YouTube. I can't get that working, even if I try copying it across using the phone clone. So with the likes of that, you will have to dive into your web browser and access your favorite bits that way instead. And that screen, much like the Huawei P40 Pro, is a mighty 6.57 inch OLED display. You've got a 2340 by 1080 pixel resolution, so slightly different, but pretty much to all intents and purposes the same nice, crisp, gorgeous, curvy display. As usual, it's a super bright, super colorful panel. You get nice natural hues on there. Actually, it's very natural color reproduction, but you can boost those visuals as well if you prefer more vivid output. Strong contrast on there, full support for HDR visuals, so yeah, lovely stuff. And like the Huawei P40 Pro, you've also got a choice of refresh rate as well. It's stuck at 60 Hz by standard, but I like a nice bit of 90 Hz refresh rate action because it's nice and silky smooth when you're swiping about on the desktops. Makes everything really, really lovely to use. And one of the advantages here on the Honor 30 Pro Plus is if you actually get stereo speaker setup as well. The earpiece can be used to play your media. Of course, you didn't get an earpiece speaker with the Huawei P40 Pro because it was a vibration technique instead. So let's test it out. Now between the Black Shark 3 and the Red Magic 5G to see which one has the best specs and features, and also which one offers the best gaming experience. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that so far. Some nice powerful beefy output from those stereo speakers on that maximum volume. That'll easily cut through any kind of ruckus. If you whip that out on a bus, that'll definitely get some angry stares from the grannies, let's say. And boy, do I look attractive in freeze frame. And no, sadly there is no headphone jack as I mentioned before, but you do get full Bluetooth 5.1 support, so a good bit of wireless action there, and of course a bit of dongle in the box anyway, just in case. And there's no compromise whatsoever here when it comes to performance either. You've once again, like the Huawei P40 series, got Huawei's top drawer Kirin 990 5G chipset on here, backed by either 8 or 12 gigs of RAM. With the result that apps, of course, just basically load up the very second you tap them, absolutely no delay whatsoever. Great stuff. And yes, of course, as the name of the chipset, Kirin 990 5G, kind of gives away, as well as, of course, the fact you've got a big fat 5G symbol here on the box. There's 5G support. The Huawei P40 Pro certainly didn't disappoint for its battery life either, easily lasting a full day even with intensive use thanks to its 4200 mAh cell. Here on the Honor 30 Pro Plus, it's slightly smaller, 4000 mAh. Should easily see you through a day though, because that Kirin chipset seems to be really energy efficient. You've also got 40 wired fast charging and 27 watt wireless charging on here as well, which is great to see, with a bit of support for the wireless reverse charging too. Now let's turn our attention to the back end of the Honor 30 Pro Plus, and what you get here is a similar setup to that Huawei P40 Pro, but a few little casual differences. First of all, the primary lens is a 50 megapixel, same as the P40 Pro, using the same sensor and everything, but without optical image stabilization built in. And the great news is the Honor 30 Pro Plus uses that exact same photodiode autofocus tech as the Huawei P40 and the P40 Pro. So as you can see there, I'll just latch onto your subject within a heartbeat and you'll be ready to start shooting. You've got that AI mode activated by default. I tend to knock that off, to be honest, because it can sometimes boost the colors to a slightly artificial rate. Nowhere near as bad as it used to, of course. But yeah, I prefer to just have those more natural hues without it turned on. And you can swap to the other lenses as well by tapping these little icons down here. So for instance, you can switch to the ultra wide angle f. It's a 16 megapixel secondary lens, a bit more basic than the 40 megapixel f you'll find on the P40 Pro. It offers a very similar sort of viewpoint. And then I've had to come way across to the other side of the studio in order to test out the telephoto lens as well, because you once again get a 5 times optical zoom effort here on the Honor 30 Pro Plus. Although it's not a 12 megapixel lens, it's an 8 megapixel lens, so slightly pared down again compared with that Huawei P40 Pro. And you keep on zooming in, as you can see there. That's now at 13 times zoom. Starting to look a little bit grainy, but still pretty respectable considering the distance. And you can actually zoom all the way up to 50 times, which is just bonkers. At which point, of course, yes, things do start to get grainy and the stabilization isn't as strong as it was on the Huawei P40 Pro. But still, again, considering how far in we are zoomed, that is not too shabby at all. You can see all the way up to his fuzzy little nostrils. And there's a photo I took at that 5 times optical zoom level. As you can see, nice crisp results, accurate colors again. So yeah, some very strong results from the Honor 30 Pro Plus. And of course, yes, you've got the usual massive selection of bonus camera modes on here, all the standard stuff you'd expect, like a portrait mode. So again, you can choose from a variety of different effects here, get some stage lighting on the go. I prefer a nice bit of heart action, lovely stuff. And you've got your bit of night mode as well, so it's actually turn down the studio lights and give that a testing. Okay, so it's nice and dark in the studio now. Just going to try taking a standard photo with the auto mode, and now we'll swap to the night mode and take a capture with that as well. As you can see, it's just taking different exposure shots over a 5-second period, and it'll stitch all of those together. Hey, stitch, get it? And here's the results here. Here's the standard auto photo, and then the night photo. It makes quite a difference, produces a much more balanced result. You'll really notice a difference in the background, especially. As you can see, that's very dark in the auto mode photo, but you can clearly make out the pattern here in the night mode, so it's just as strong by the looks of it as the Huawei P40 Pro. And as you can see there, as usual, we've got a huge selection of other modes as well. I ain't going to go through testing all these because frankly that would take flipping ages. But notable entries include the Pro modes. You've got full manual controls if you need them. You can shoot at full high resolution if you require as well. You've got the super macro mode, which I still don't really see the point in, to be perfectly honest. I'm just quickly checking out that photo editing tool here on the Honor 30 Pro Plus as well. It doesn't look like you've got any of those smart editing tools that you got on the Huawei P40, the P40 Pro, the new stuff like cropping out somebody who's walking by in the background, anti-reflection, all that kind of shenanigans. It looks like just your standard cropping, filters, and other adjustments. And then if you want to shoot a nice bit of home movie action, well, once again, you can employ the full range of lenses, including a good bit of telephoto action if you like as well. But you'll want to be in that primary lens if you want to make use of all of the various features. Using this lens, you can shoot up to 4K resolution video at 30 or 60 frames per second for nice hyper-realistic results. And then finally, if you swap around to the front-facing setup, of course, it is a dual lens arrangement for your selfie action. You've got a 32 megapixel primary lens there, once again with full portrait smart. You've got all the full beauty effects, all that shenanigans, bit of photo modes. But what you do get here is the option of an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. Just tap wide and there you go. That's ready for your group shots. If you want to get a good bit of background action in, show off whatever snazzy vacation spot you are holidaying in, which would be the garden these days, I'm guessing. So there you have it. That in a nutshell is the Honor 30 Pro Plus. The number of times I've said Plus Pro, probably done it several times in this video. If I have, I apologize. My brains are actually turning to gravy and dribbling out of my ears right now. So many Huawei and Honor smartphones. So what do you reckon? Definitely if you were tempted by that Huawei P40 Pro, but you don't have the kind of money to splash on that kind of super sexy hardware, this seems to offer pretty much the same setup, very little compromise, but hopefully for a much better UK asking price. I'm kind of hoping it'll come in at around that sort of £600 asking price sort of maximum, but we'll see how it goes. Great performance, great battery life, awesome camera tech, and all of that shenanigans. So yeah, definitely slap your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do poke, subscribe, and ding that notifications bell if you haven't already. If you have already, I love you guys. Cheers very much, and have yourselves a lovely week.